So Garvey says Booker T's gone. He didn't like R.R. Moton. He probably could sense that he was a sellout. So Mr. Garvey starts a 38-state tour to raise money for Jamaican Tuskegee. Whirlwind, 38 states. Who's this little short, pudgy man from Jamaica? He comes to New York City. And the Pan-Africanists in New York. And I want to say something. I got to say this. Because a lot of my elders in the Garvey movement, the UNIA, a lot of them don't know Pan-African history. Some of them think Marcus Garvey was the first to teach it. So I need to clarify out of respect for the predecessors of Garvey that nothing Marcus Garvey taught was new. They hate when I say that, but it's the truth. And I got to do justice to history. He taught nothing new. He said God was black. That did not come from him. That came from a Pan-Africanist before him by the name of Bishop Henry McNeill Turner. One of the first blacks elected during Reconstruction, the first black chaplain in the United States Army, one of the first bishops of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. He was the man who called the United States flag, a stinking dirty rag. He said God was black. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't get that from him. He got it from Garvey, and he got it from Bishop Turner, because Elijah Muhammad, when he was Elijah Poole, attended Bishop Turner's elementary school in Georgia. So he was already told about God being black by a Pan-Africanist. Nothing's new under the sun. Elijah and Garvey both got it from Bishop Turner. Marcus Garvey's most famous quote, Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. The second part was his, but the first part comes from another Pan-Africanist by the name of Martin Robinson Delaney. One of the first black Masons in this country, one of the first black publishers in this country, one of the first black inventors in this country, and the first black uniform officer in the Civil War. That was his. Marcus Garvey put ships on the water, but he wasn't the first. Delaney had ships. Chief Alfred Sam had ships. Well, if that's the case, Dr. Umar, then you call yourself a Garveyite. What's so great about being a Garveyite? Garvey's greatness is not that he invented Pan-Africanism. Garvey's greatness is he's the first to give the ideology a mass movement. Before him, there was no universal movement for Pan-Africanism. Marcus Garvey did for Pan-African nationalism what Michael Jordan did for basketball. He did not invent it, he reinvented it. So in New York, they say, we don't think you should go back to Jamaica. We think you should stay here. Your movement ain't doing nothing over there because of the color-coded hierarchy. So Garvey decides to stay in New York City. And when he did that, he switched the headquarters from Jamaica to New York, because in the Constitution of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, wherever the President General lives is where the international headquarters shall be. So when Garvey gets to New York, he pays a visit to W.E.B. Du Bois at the office of the crisis, the NAACP's paper. And they have a conversation. It was pretty favorable. But Garvey said he knew something wasn't right because everybody working for the boy in the office looked like they could be white. See, and don't get me wrong, I was just at the boy's grave in Ghana 3 weeks ago. But I got to be honest as well. W.E.B. Du Bois was a light-skinned supremacist. Yes, he was. He did not like dark-skinned people around him. That's right. He's the father of the Boule, yes. In fact, he's quoted as saying what? The Boule was started to keep the educated black man away from Marcus Garvey. Yes. He's the father of the talented 10th. That's right. It was the boy who said the college-educated Negro would save the race. I wish he was here today. It looks to me like the race needs to save the college-educated Negro. So then he goes and he meets A. Philip Randolph, famous from Chicago for organizing the first black union, one of the first, the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. He gave Marcus Garvey one of his first speaking engagements before he became an enemy.